welcome back to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Today's plank challenge is day 9. I hope things are going well. Today's the day where depending on which track you're on, you will do a different amount of time. So if you are on the 3-minute track for the plank challenge, you will do 50 seconds, 50-second plank today. If you're on the 5-minute track for the plank challenge, you will do 60 seconds today. So 60 seconds today. So good luck with that. And today we are exploring the theme of surrendering control and understanding that we are not running the show. So this morning in my sobriety meeting, we did the daily reflection, and this is on the AA website. But I really wanted to correlate this to my stroke recovery as well. So we're talking about a little bit of both today, both recoveries, if you will. So many of us, whether you're in recovery or not, live through what I heard this morning called self-imposed crises. And these are those chaotic scenarios that we found ourselves in largely due to our own actions and decisions. And in the throes of alcoholism, for me, it felt like I was constantly putting out fires that I started without ever questioning why I was playing with the matches in the first place. When I got sober, I was faced with this decision. Again, this was mentioned in the daily reflection from this morning. I was faced with the decision about what God means to me. And the daily reflection mentioned this. Is God everything to me, or is he nothing? Because he has to be one or the other. He can't be pretty much what I had developed him into in my life. So for me, before sobriety, God wasn't either. I was floating in this limbo of my own making, where the concept of a higher power was more of an abstract idea. It was more like a story, almost like a fairy tale, really. It was more like that than it was any sort of guiding presence. I mean, I can't say that I didn't pray sometimes when I was growing up. I did. My mom took us to church when I was younger. I remember that. And that stuck with me. It always did. So I'm happy that I had that foundation that started when I was young. But when push came to shove, when I got to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I needed to pick a side, whether God was everything or he was nothing. And since I had that exposure when I was younger, I always had this desire to believe in something greater than myself. But I was held back from this for fear of embarrassment, I guess, that I was going to be criticized, or there's this vulnerability that comes with faith, in my opinion, if you talk about it out loud. And that I know is 100% a result of my experiences throughout my life thus far. Um, and if you remember, I wouldn't talk about it for for several months of this podcast in the beginning. And it was because that vulnerability, that fear of, I've always said it's my business. My higher power is my own business. I don't want to talk about it. And it really was because I didn't want anybody to judge me for what I believe, because what I believe is not what you believe. Period. I can guarantee you that. Um, so I didn't talk about it. And what I've come to accept more so now than ever is that I can't not talk about it, because it's a huge part of my program, and my mental and emotional stability is guided by this idea that I'm not alone. And I have to believe this or I will drink. That is a guarantee. I can tell you that. This idea is what kept me sober when I was first entered into sobriety at the second time after I went to my second detox, and I took a business trip to San Diego, and I was there by myself. And I've talked about this previously, but I was there by myself, and I wanted to drink, and I felt like I didn't have the choice. I felt like I had to drink because I wanted to drink, because that's what alcoholics think. If I want to drink, that means I have to drink and I can't stop myself. I mean, that's what this alcoholic thought. So I didn't know what to do, and I just walked repeatedly around the block because I didn't want to stop and go to eat. It was in the evening, dinner time. I didn't want to stop and eat somewhere because I was afraid I was going to drink. So I just kept walking. And I kept saying to myself, nobody would know. If I drank, nobody would know. And then, like, on my third lap around the block, I don't know if I said I was in San Diego or San Francisco. If I didn't say it, I was in San Francisco. But so on my third lap, I thought I would know. I would know, and my higher power would know. And so I didn't drink that day. And I haven't drank since then, because I have never felt alone since that day that I was walking around the block and came to that realization that I would know and my higher power would know. And if I truly want to have faith, then that's what this faith looks like. So I have to believe that I have a higher power, and that I'm never alone, so that I can stay sober, period. And in turn, I can accept that I have zero control over my future. Like, that's a result, is if I really have faith in a higher power, then I have zero control over my future. And there's a freedom in admitting that. It's that thing that I say before I go to bed every night: thy will be done, not mine. Yet, as I've learned a lot recently, saying it is one thing, living it is another. And I realized this morning that I do say this, thy will be done, not mine, every night before I go to bed. But I don't say it during the day. And I say it before I go to bed to help me fall asleep, to help me through the night. But I don't say it to help me through the day. And I thought this was really interesting. I hadn't even thought about that yet. It's like I was ending my day. It's like I'm filling up my cup. I don't know why I have a picture of a 2-liter Sprite bottle in my head right now, but it's like I'm filling up this 2-liter Sprite bottle full of, such a dumb analogy, but whatever, stay with me. I'm like, before I go to bed, I'm filling up this bottle with all of my faith and my acceptance and my, all the good stuff that helps me have good dreams and all of that. And I fill it up and I put a cap on it before I go to bed and set it on my nightstand. And, what happens in the morning? Does that mean that throughout the day, I'm just pouring out everything that's in that Sprite bottle and it doesn't get filled up until the evening again? That doesn't make any sense. Um, there are times that I will uh, say a little gratitude, like, thank you. When something happens that I'm like, okay, that was really perfect. It happened at the perfect time, and I'm so, so grateful that it did, that kind of thing. I will go, thank you, and like look up at the sky because it's just my way of not acknowledging that I'm grateful, of the little things. Um, but that's about all I do in the middle of the day. I don't do I think the God box is really in the same respect this let go, let God, this thy will be done thing. Um, Doing the God box in the middle of the day is the same thing. It's letting go. It's admitting that I don't have control. Um, but I wonder if I might just say that little prayer that I say before bed a little more throughout the day. It might be a helpful reminder to me to say it out loud. Um, so let's see. Um, as you know, yesterday I had what I don't like to call, what I do call a shitty day. And it was a day that no matter how hard I fight to have control, regardless of whether I think I'm in charge, I'm not in charge of anything. And it doesn't matter if my faith feels strong on days like that, or should I say days like these that I'm having lately. It doesn't matter if I think I'm in control or not. Like, nothing changes. Life is still happening in the same way if I think I have control or if I don't think I have control. The same thing is happening. So, why am I wasting all of this energy trying to control something that can't be controlled? I'm still here in pain, whether I, try to research the depths of the internet. I almost said the bowels of the internet, but I don't go there. Whether I do that or not, I'm still going to be in pain. I'm going to be in more pain putting myself through that. Um, so I got to let go. I've got to let the medical professionals do what they are here to do. And if I truly believe in a higher power, even on days that I feel alone and less spiritual, my higher power's presence is the same, and it is beyond my understanding. The presence of my higher power, if I really do have faith, that same faith that I felt in San Francisco, that presence doesn't fluctuate with my circumstances or diminish with my doubts. So my control, right? My control is meaning, or my feeling of control, my sense of control doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. All it does is change what's going on inside of me and cause more pressure. And my faith, it sounds bad, but I listened to a video that was really great today about it doesn't do anything. You know, what I mean is it's there whether I feel it strongly or not. It's just there. If I truly believe what I believe, what I've come to believe starting that day in San Francisco, then it exists whether I have strong days of faith or not. Um, it's kind of like chicken or the egg, or maybe it's not. I don't know, but like my faith. I don't know. I'm talking myself into into a circle. But maybe you understand what I'm saying. It doesn't fluctuate. The presence doesn't fluctuate with my faith. If it really is truly what I think it is. Anyway, I'm gonna stop. So in my journey, um, I have been fascinated in my sobriety journey. I've been fascinated so far by the intelligence and the cunning capabilities of alcoholics. And I really have thought that I was onto something when I thought, alcoholics are some of the most intelligent people I know. And but it made me sound like I was inflating my own my own ego. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm brilliant. But it's true. Like once these alcoholics get sober, um there is so many smart, incredible people that emerge out of sobriety. It's quite exciting to see what was hiding in there. And although we go to meetings and we talk very much about how we haven't figured things out and like, if, leaning on each other and all that stuff, yet together as we do that every day, and then we set each other off out into the world, and all we have when we leave the meeting and go out into the world is this concept of a higher power. It's still like we can move mountains together. It's like we have faith in each other, in this thing called AA, in this energy that has been built within the group, so that when we go out to live our lives each day, we carry that energy with us. And that's my experience. But this intelligence that I'm so wowed by in alcoholics, it also, I think, can be self-deceiving, like that it leads us to think we can control more than we can. And the truth is, no matter how eloquently we explain or how desperately we try to guide each other and our other loved ones not in the program, we can't control anyone else's journey but our own. And even our own is a little limited, right? So others have to experience their journey firsthand. And honestly, I'm pretty sure my advice isn't any better than what anyone, what they would figure out on their own, other people. It's taken me a long time to figure that out, and I'm still learning it. But my advice for somebody else isn't going to be great advice because I'm basing my advice on my experience and how is my experience? Sometimes it works, if there are things, I was talking to my daughter today over um, text about she wanted to know my experience with some things, and I shared it with her. And in that case, I wasn't giving her any advice. I was just sharing my experience. I wasn't trying to guide her in any direction. I was just giving her knowledge. That's it. So that she can make her own choices. And that's really different than trying to give somebody advice based on my experience, because it still might not be the best advice for somebody else. Um, I was thinking today, even at work, I realized that, so I was a marketing director, and at one time I had like 8 people in my group. And I remember we would have like our team meetings, and more often than not, we would be talking about a project, and everybody would give their input on what they think that we should do about the project. More often than not, my opinion was different than the entire group's opinion. And what I learned is that, leading my group wasn't about me, you know, practicing my power as a people leader and saying, you guys all think we should do this, but I think we should do it the other way. So I'm the director. We're going to do it my way. That is not what being a people leader is. It's about being able to get the group together, allowing them to be at their best, to give their best, and to accept their best. Honestly, everybody in that group they were the experts. I am an expert in my own way at my own things, but together as a group, who am I to say, okay, you guys all think that, I disagree, we're going to do it my way. That's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I think about that as far as just that control thing. So the big book of AA talks about the root of our troubles as alcoholics is in selfishness and self-centeredness. And in my drinking days, and even now in sobriety, there is this like incessant need to control how others perceive me. Like, it's like I have this inner emptiness that's always there. Not big, not a big old gap that needs to be filled, but this little inner emptiness that needs to be filled with external validations. And I know I'm not the only one. And this compulsion to try to lead people to like me or think a certain way about me stems from fear of loss and fear of abandonment. I learned this about myself when I went to my addiction therapist the first 2 years of my sobriety. And I'm better than I used to be, but I'm far away from not still being driven daily by this need. I know that it's there, but now at least I recognize that it's there. And it's just another angle of control. Like, I want to control what other people think. And that's just ridiculous, right? I mean, even saying it out loud is ridiculous. I want to control what you think. Now, when you say, I want to control what you think about me, it seems almost like it's something I can control because the word me is in there, but it's not. I can't control what you think, period. And I hear this all the time in sobriety. What other people think of me is none of my business. And I don't know where that came from, but I know it's all over the place now. I hear it, and I really like it because it's true. Um, if you take out the of me and you just say what other people think is none of my business and leave me out of it, it's even more powerful to me to listen to it that way. So I'm learning to surrender daily, um, to embrace the natural flow of life instead of resisting it. Every day I feel like I wake up and I'm faced with a problem. That's what I feel like. I open my eyes and it feels like I'm facing a problem that needs to be solved. And it's like as soon as I open my eyes, I'm grabbing a hold of the steering wheel, and I'm trying to fix my problem. My problem being this stroke recovery, this disability, I think is the issue. And I'm not it's not it's not an active thing. I'm not by waking up and seeing a problem in front of me and grabbing a hold of the wheel. Um, all I'm doing is getting myself moving faster, getting my heart rate up, getting my blood pumping, thinking about the challenge. I'm never like getting in a boat and just letting the waves guide me. You know what I mean? I'm not letting life just guide me. And it feels like when I wake up, so I wake up with this one problem, right? My disability. And then it feels like throughout the day, as my head starts hurting more and I start having life happen, whether it's dealing with my insurance, dealing with, the house, dealing with doctors, dealing with whatever, house stuff, car stuff, dog stuff, all of kid stuff, all of that. It feels like problems just start building, they start building on top of each other. And what's going on the inside of me, that feeling of problems growing and this need to control. It's like I'm having a hard time articulating this, but it's like being in one of the you see it on like a game show. There's like a big glass uh container thing and they put a person in it and then the dollar bills come flowing in and they're flying all around and the person's like grabbing the dollar bills and they have to collect as many dollar bills as they can before the time limit's out or whatever. I feel like throughout the day I'm in one of those containers and the dollar bills though are my problems. And I'm like just flailing around trying to grab as many problems and fix them as possible in one day before my time runs out, right before it's bedtime. And it's no fun to do that. There are no problems that are piling up on me. It's my perception of what's going on. If I just sit, say meditate, or I just sit here for a second during this podcast, if I just stop talking for, for a minute, let's say, there's nothing piling up on me. It's because I'm slowing down and getting quiet that I can actually hear the silence of my life. That's why meditation is so effective for me. Because when I get quiet, my brain gets quiet. When I just take time to listen to life, to listen to my environment, it like grounds me and helps me realize that nothing's changing right now. No matter what I do, no matter how much I'm flailing my arms around, I'm not grabbing a hold of anything. I'm not changing anything. So just stop, just stop. So I don't know if a lot of that is making sense. I'm trying real hard, but I have the same circumstance every day when I wake up. Yesterday, I woke up with this problem I had to solve, my disability. And then today, I woke up with that same feeling that I had a problem that needed to be solved. And it's still there, Nothing's changing no matter how much I'm trying to solve this problem. Nothing's changing. I'm wasting a lot of energy. And what I can do is I can reframe this from waking up to a problem that I need to solve. Like I mentioned yesterday, it's not my problem to solve. And I think I just mentioned that earlier. I can't control finding a cure for my disability. I can't find the cause of my disability. There's nothing I can do. All I can do is control my symptoms. And so, reframing this from being a problem that needs to be solved to being a new day to make enjoyable. So instead of looking at the problems, all of those dollar bills flying around my head and I'm flailing around trying to grab them, rather than looking at all of those, look at the existence, look at just being, being present, being grateful. I'm a human being, and I'm not looking at that ever. I'm looking at all the things flying around my head. Trying to reframe this from waking up to a problem that needs to be solved into waking up to opportunities to practice surrendering this whole idea and try to have the most fun I can, the most enjoyable day I can with the least amount of pain. It sounds like an equation. What is the what is the most amount of fun you can have with the least amount of pain? Go. And I was a math major, and yes, I will pull that card my whole entire life because it makes me feel smart. But that's what it feels like, that I'm constantly trying to figure out a problem. And the problem really, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's just life. And I need to adapt to living it this new way. I'm totally rambling, but I hope you're okay with that. So, anyway, as I wrap up today's episode, I encourage you to reflect on your own relationship with control and think about if you're holding on to, too tightly to the reins, like fearing what might happen if you let go. But like I've been talking about today, it feels like nothing different happens if you let go. It's what's on the inside that stops suffering. And life still keeps going in the same direction it was going, with or without you white knuckling the wheel. Of course we can move the rudder. I'm like talking about cars, I'm talking about ships, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we just sit back and don't do anything and don't engage with life. But there's only so much that we can do. I'm not running the show. And if I truly have that faith that I began to have in San Francisco 7 years ago, then there's somebody else in charge, and I need to let him. I need to let him do it. Like, it's rude. It's rude. It's like going into somebody else's house and trying to start telling everybody what to do in somebody else's house, I'm in my higher power's house, and I need to let him run the show. And so that's what I got for you today. Thanks for letting me ramble. It felt kind of good. Maybe I'll ramble a little more, unless it was annoying. If it was annoying, email me at rachel@recoverydailypodcast.com. Thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you tomorrow.